co-hosts Isaac Simpson and Maria Perry. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Short on Shorts. Our special guest reviewer this week is film journalist, author, and programmer Heidi Honeycutt, whose work has appeared in publications like Fangoria magazine and Movie Maker magazine. And today we're reviewing The Chickening, directed by Nick Denboer and Davey Force. Make sure to check it out before watching our review. The link is in the description below. Enjoy the movie and our review.
Heidi's pick is The Chickening by Nick Denboer, who we have decided is South African, and Davey Force. It's a bizarro remix of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, which reimagines the original plot as taking place surrounding a fast food chicken restaurant instead of a grand old hotel. It was somehow the official selection for TIFF and Sundance and has over 1 million views on YouTube. Heidi, this was your pick. Why did you like this?
Well, the film I originally wanted to pick for this show was password protected, so I couldn't show it to you guys. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make them watch the most ridiculous thing that I can think of off the top of my head in 5 minutes that's publicly available, and that was The Chickening. And you guys watched it, so you know that it's absolutely like absurd. And when you say somehow it got into these festivals, yeah, no, totally. Like if the guy who made it is clearly like the two guys that made it are very clearly talented animators and VFX artists. But if they were just two dudes that nobody knew and they submitted this to like Sundance, I have a feeling it would be like, we can't show this. Like, what is this crap? Right. But you know, somebody knew somebody did some videos for Conan, and somebody's published, you know how that works. And so they were like, no, it's not crap. It's genius.
But I have to say, and I'm generally not a fan of stuff like this, but if you're going to do sort of pop culture mashup thingies, these guys did it about as well as you can do it. I thought it was really interesting, and I also thought that it was, there actually was a little tiny message. I mean, I had to watch it twice to get it, but the whole sort of, what would The Shining be if it was made today, sort of feeling to the beginning, how it wouldn't just be this quaint, well, it's not really quaint, but it's this privately owned hotel, right? And today it would probably be some corporately owned resort or something like that.
I think you had to work really hard to find that point, didn't you?
Well, I had to watch it twice. I mean, I didn't get it the first time. I mean, the first time you're just sort of, you know, you're either enjoying the way they're mashing up, you know, they're mashing up these sort of stock characters from, you know, like there's like I love that the Finger is like the stock mob guy from every movie or every TV show ever made, right? And you've got him, and then you know, and they mash it up with a whole bunch of stuff from The Shining, and I don't know. So it was neat.
Yeah, I think we should distinguish here between mashup and remix. I would say this was a remix, not a mashup. But later we will talk about a mashup.
They are mashing together lots of different elements. I mean, they're using The Shining as sort of the frame, and then so I don't know. I don't know what the kids are saying these days, what they're calling everything.
Mashup is two existing things being put together.
Mashups is when you combine two separate things. This is too much.
I was actually curious about what the hell this was, so I was like reading more about it, because I was like, what do you call this? Is it a mashup? Is it a whatever? What is it? And the term that I heard or read used a lot is graffiti. It's literally like they took someone else's work and they just went like that all over it, and they were like, here you go.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's like the most appropriate description,
that's
to be
fair.
honest.
Graffiti, yeah, graffiti or
video graffiti.
Or yeah, like an artist like Jeff Koons or something that takes these icons and sort of updates them and mixes them together. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different analogies. I mean, we'll get later on in the show, we'll talk about a mashup that is two things mixed together, whereas this was one thing that was warped with other cliches and things like that. Kevin, I really like your point that this was maybe an update, and I totally missed that. I thought it was just total inane insanity.
Well, it's a lot of that. I just think that they also, they happen to work in this notion of, you know, what if The Shining was made today, right?
Do you think that was intentional, or do you think that happened by accident?
Well, I think they did it intentionally because so much detail and thought was put into what they were going to make the hotel into, right? Whereas the rest of the movie was arguably The Shining with a lot of weirdness happening, right? The beginning,
That's The Shining to start with, but go ahead.
The beginning, there was a lot of thought into how they were going to change the setting, how they were going to morph it into this other thing. And so that felt very intentional to me.
I mean, I think it's really, you know, it's ultimately supposed to be really funny, and I don't think it's supposed to be like. I mean, I think we all want to read into it a lot more than we probably initially. I think we all want to kind of read into it because it was in Sundance and it was in TIFF and all these different things, and we're like, well, those are, you know, respectable, but really, I think it was two dudes sitting around like taking Shelley Duvall's eyes and crossing them, and they were like, oh, you know, it's funny, fried chicken is fucking hilarious. It is, fried chicken is fucking hilarious, and they were like, it'll be a fried chicken place, and then like, you know, we'll make that other guy have long toenails. Like, it literally was just them screwing around, and they did a good job screwing around, but I don't think that, I think it was a way to showcase their skills.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
As VFX artists.
It just felt so much like, you know how, I don't know, I mean, I've done this a lot, so maybe it's a reference that only makes sense to me, but when you're driving from here to Vegas, there are those two towns before you actually get to Vegas. There's like Buffalo Bills is one of the casinos.
And Baker.
Prim is one of them, right? And then there's another one, like between Prim and Vegas. And it's the entire town is just some like amusement park looking casino. And that's sort of what this felt like to me. That's what the beginning felt like.
Quite an analogy for this short film. But I don't know. I mean, my question, I also wasn't really all that, I didn't understand why it got into TIFF, but I think that your explanation makes a lot of sense. It was just sort of a totally absurd thing that really showcased their talent as digital artists. But why was the kid, why did the kid have a mustache? I didn't understand.
Because it's funny.
That's it, though.
I mean, I don't think there's anything, I think literally because it was funny. And
There's
they were sitting there and they were like drinking and they were like, dude, how funny is this? And they like, you know, pressed the button and then the kid had a mustache and they were like, oh, that's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Or it might have been some other things. But
what if we throw the mustache on?
Yeah, no, I literally think it was two dudes fucking around, having a good time. And like I said, I think it's connections. I think if two dudes who just were really talented made this in their Silver Lake apartment and no one knew them, it would be something funny they uploaded to YouTube and their friends would get a big kick out of it. But if it's something that like someone who's friends with so-and-so, who knows someone at Sundance, who's friends with this guy, who's friends with this guy, then suddenly it becomes like, oh my God, like Emperor's New Clothes, where it's like, oh my God, TIFF is showing it. Should we show that? We should show that too, shouldn't we? I mean, I get it. Do you get it? You know, and I think that's all film festivals are. I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah.
I have a film festival. Like half of it is literally people like trying, like not knowing whether something's good or not and hoping that they're right because they have no idea.
No, Emperor's New Clothes, totally.
Yeah.
Although this does also have 1 million views on YouTube, which is crazy.
Because it's funny, right? It's like you're like, oh God, check this out. It's like it's called The Chickening, and you send it to your friend, and they're like, yeah, that was funny. There was chicken in it.
It was The Shining.
It was fried chicken, and then like Shelley Duvall.
Her eyes were crooked.
Yeah.
I just.
And then you move on and you go about your day at Walmart or whatever.